What's up guys, John here, and I'm bringing you something very special today. I built my PC, which is over here, not too long ago. Did a recording of the build, but it was kind of dodgy, so I didn't bother uploading it or anything. It consists of a Ryzen, I'll show you in a second. It consists of a Ryzen 3 1200 though, but today I decided to get my hands on this little baby, and as you can see, it's completely unopened, so I haven't even opened this box. I'm waiting for now to do it, so we are going to do this now. Let's get in here. Pretty excited as to exactly what it's going to be, guys. What is it? It's a box. Oh, it's another box inside a box. What's this? Oh, AMD Ryzen 5 1600. Fantastic. 3.2 gigahertz base, 3.6 gigahertz precision boost. So that's the boost clock. This is 6 cores, 12 threads, 19 megabytes of cache, of L3 cache. If you don't know what that is, I'll explain it all to you very, very soon. So here we go. Okay, unboxing. So I'm really super excited for this little sucker. Let's get this tape off here. See what we get inside the box. Sorry, I'll just knock my camera. Never mind. Okay. So you do get the little, that's the important stuff. This one here is the Wraith. This is the Wraith Stealth or Spire cooler. No, this is the Stealth cooler. With the Ryzen 3, we get the Spire, which is like half the size. But because this processor runs faster, it needs to dissipate more heat, so it comes with this cooler already included. There's thermal paste already on the bottom of the copper heatsink there, so we're good to go with that. Let's just put this box to one side for a second. Now the most important thing is this little sucker here. So this is my Ryzen 5 1600 CPU. This is just the first part of the video, guys. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to bring my PC on here. We're going to remove certain parts. We're going to put this little baby in, and we're going to show you what it can do. So we'll be back. Okay guys, so I've got my my desktop tower here. Basically, let me turn him around a little bit. I've got my little Razer sticker. This is basically the front of my tower. I've been using it for a while now. Can't really see too much, but I'm going to show you the most important parts, which of course are inside. Okay, so this is a bit controversial, but power supply. I've only got a 350 watt power supply. The reason for that is they only had that one in stock. I had bought a case with the power supply already in, which was 500 watts. But it didn't have the right cables on it. It was just crap. So I decided to buy a Corsair one from the local Maplin shop. They only had a 350 watt in. I was impatient, so I just bought it. It seems to be okay. It seems to be okay for now. So, okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove the graphics card. This is a 1050 Ti graphics card. So I'm going to take out this 6-pin plug here, or the 6x2. I only use the 6. There's a 2 there, cable tied. And then we want to be undoing this retention screw on the side here. Take this little screw out and put it just to one side. And then there is, sorry for my head, but I need to be able to see, there's a little tab that we push down. There we go. There we go. It's just this little tab here. The little tab is on the side there. It's a little bit of a bastard, but we did it. So that's the GPU, still looking in good shape. It's a 1050 Ti gigabyte, 4 gigabyte overclock version, and I do overclock it as well with MSI Afterburner. So that's the graphics card out. We are going to remove. In fact, I might do a little bit more cable management on this. CPU fan 1. I don't know if you can see that or not, it's quite small. And then we're going to slowly undo so as mentioned before, this has currently got a Ryzen 3 1200, and I am upgrading now until the retention screws are under enough for me just to pull away the cooler. Now, this is the cooler that comes with the Ryzen 3. It's still looking in good shape. There's no crap around there, not at the moment, not really. There's a little bit, but you can see the thickness of the actual fins here, the part that takes away the heat. If you look at the difference there, it's literally double. Same fan, but the actual heatsink is a lot larger, and the idea is that because the processor gets warmer, it will dissipate heat easier with the bigger. I think it's called the Stealth, the Spire. One of them's called Stealth, one's called Spire. I think the Spire one is the bigger one, I think. So yeah, got to put them to one side. Okay, so for removal of the processor, it's just a simple case of pulling the arm across, lifting the whole unit up until you hear that click. This is an AM4 socket, which is as all Ryzen processors are. Going to take our cloth, carefully remove the processor. Make sure that we don't bend any of these pins because they are super delicate. And best thing that I've found to remove this old thermal paste is just a cloth. You don't need loads of chemicals or anything like that. Just a cloth, just a dry cloth. Be careful though, because you don't want to be bending any of these pins at the bottom here, because they are super sensitive. So just hold the processor by its side. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to give this a bit of a wipe before I put it away. I'm going to put this Ryzen 3 1200 in the box that the Ryzen 5 1600 comes out of. But for now, just going to put it out of the way. Okay, make sure that the motherboard's clear. So we've still got the RAM in there. This system consists of 2 sticks of 4 gigabytes, so 8 in total. It's not a massive amount. I've got a small motherboard as well. It's an AB350. You can overclock with it, but it was my starter system. All I'm doing now is just upgrading with a new processor. So that being said, here she is. So I'm going to remove the processor out of the box carefully. Get rid of information, we don't need that. You get a little Ryzen 5 sticker I shall be sticking on the front, and then this should just lift up very carefully without trying to drop it, and then pick the processor up by its side. And as always, the pins are on this one. On an Intel the pins are on the actual motherboard, but with the Ryzen the pins are actually on the processor. So we're going to line up this arrow with the arrow on the motherboard itself. Now you have to excuse my head now because I need to get down and do this. And there you go. The processor should just sit in there nicely. Okay, moving on. So that we've got the processor in now. That's nicely seated. I'm going to apply a bit of gentle pressure onto this arm here, just to push down, and this will lock in the processor into the socket. Make sure that's nicely seated underneath. That's not going anywhere. Awesome. So that's done. Now, time for the cooler. Again, can we see the difference between coolers here? This one, the one that came with the Ryzen 5, has also got a piece of copper on, and this one hasn't. Can you see? So again, I think it probably aids for heat dissipation. So we're going to use this one. Right, I'm going to have to disassemble all of this because my bracket that holds on the cooler to the underneath of the motherboard has actually fallen off. So I thought it might have stayed put. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to disassemble all this, I'm going to take the motherboard out, when we come back, I'll just have the motherboard in my hand like this. So bear with me, we're going to do that now. Okay, so you may have noticed that I've made a few changes here. All these clusters of cables that were around here before, I've put around the back. I've actually removed the back panel here, just because I want to make my cable management a little bit neater. So I have put the plate on the back. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to screw down each corner gradually. So I'm going to go for that side first, and then this one here, and this one here. And you don't have to screw it aggressively. Until you feel it bite, then you're home. You don't need to go mad, just until you can feel it bite, which is about there. So I have actually removed this motherboard. I've removed the back panel. Okay, so the CPU is now seated. I've rerouted the 4-pin cable for the CPU around the back of the PC. I've removed the back panel, so I can kind of show you here. I wanted to get rid of all them white cable ties, so I have actually done it now, apart from these few here. So we can do this now. The main reason for doing this is just to make it aesthetically look a bit better. Although I haven't got a clear panel, but I just like to know that it's nice and tidy, you know. Nothing else in my life is tidy. So first time for everything. So I've put the cable back there. I'm hoping that the 24-pin will sit nicely there without any problems. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put a couple of cable ties on the back now. These are some black cable ties I use for work, quite handy. Oh, but I did pay for them, Mr. Boss, if you're watching this video. A couple of black cable ties on there, because I did have some white ones on it and they looked a bit shit, to be honest. They wasn't quite aesthetically pleasing as a nice black cable tie. Once they say you go black, there's no going back. It also applies to cable ties. So let's try and get this neat as possible, without forgetting that we are going to be wanting to put a lid on here. So I'm not going to go overdo that. I might just put one more there actually. I don't want to overdo it because there is a side panel going on here, and if it's too busy with cable ties and things aren't packed down properly, then the lid isn't probably going to go on, which won't be good for me, because I don't want to be wrestling with the lid. So I think that should do it for now. So I'm just going to cut these cable ties off. Get yourself a pair of proper cutters, don't use scissors. I've seen even professional builders use flipping scissors. Get yourself a proper pair of wire cutters. They really do come in handy. Turn these cable ties around a little bit just to try and neaten it off. There actually wasn't a plug. See this cable here, this wire here, that one's going to my CPU, and there actually wasn't a plug. I don't know if you can see this one here. There wasn't a hole in the case to put it round. So what I did was I undid the motherboard on all the standoff screws, put the cable underneath, and then you can see on this side I've actually routed it round. Oh, while I'm here actually, just going to check this filter underneath. There's a little bit of shit there. It's not too bad, but let's give that a bit of a wipe out. That filter there's for the power supply. Looks like it's doing a good job. So while I've got it all out, sliding back in there. Okay, so that looks a lot neater than it was. If you remember before, the PSU cable, or the CPU cable rather, was coming sort of kind of directly over the blowers, like this. So now it just looks a lot neater. That's if you can see in there, because there's a case. Can you see in there? Okay, kind of. Right, so let's get the back panel on now, just to make sure it fits. Okay, we're going to get the back panel on now. And these always go only one way. Make sure we get the right way around. Okay, so it should go on there. Yeah, it does. See how it sticks out a bit here? Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, great. I was trying to think of the right word. Egressed? Recessed? I don't know. Let's put these back in. Don't be untidy like me, guys. Be tidy. I'm an untidy shitbag. Okay. So right, we've got this here. That's a Molex connector. That's for the fan. So remember when I took this side panel off, it got another extraction fan going out. I've got 3 fans in total on this. I've got an intake green LED on the front. I've got a blower on the back and a blower on the side as well. And obviously that's a blower onto the CPU, well, onto the cooler. So yeah, right. 24 pin in. Let's put the cable tie around here. Tie these up. These are in the optical bays. These are the front panel headers for the headphone speakers, USB 3, USB 2, power switch, LED, that kind of thing. I don't use any optical drives. People don't these days. I've got a 120 gig SSD there. I've got a 1 terabyte hard drive for storage for games there. And that's pretty much all I use for this system. So it's very, very simple. I mean, some of my friends that have come from PlayStation 4, they was like saying, oh, I'd like to get a PC, but it's all building and it's all updating and it's all this and that. And you know, it's not difficult. It's, in fact, it's enjoyable. It's quite therapeutic to be able to. And then you can look back and go, yeah, I built that myself, you know. Okay, so before I do much more, what I'm going to do, I'm just doing a bit of tidying up here. I would rather have had some smaller cable ties, but I've only got these, so I'll leave them in for now. Make sure you get rid of them, don't leave them in the case. I'm going to put the graphics card in, which goes in the only PCI slot I've got, PCI Express slot I've got, which is this one. This motherboard, as I say, it's a an ASRock AB350 HDV motherboard. It's a cheap one. It's got 2 DIMM slots. I should have really paid 20 quid more and got a better motherboard. Never mind. So, okay. Here's my Gigabyte 1050 Ti. Still looks pretty good. The other version of the TIs don't have this 6 pin on, so it means you can't really overclock it. But it draws less power. I think it's 75 watts TDP or power draw. Okay, so we're going to seat him. So yeah, that was my bad. So you're having to look at the back of my head for a second there, but never mind. Right. Do up this screw just to retain him in. That's in nicely. It's not going anywhere. Okay, and the cable we want for this is this one. So I'm going to remove this cable tie right here, and possibly this one as well. Be careful when you're cutting cable ties. Obviously you don't want to be going through your cables. Okay, so these 6 pins, they only go on one way. That's a 6 plus 2. I'll put the 2 there. Most of the time with all this stuff, it only goes one way. So if you won't go in one way, it's the wrong way. So just plug it in the other way, you know. That's why I say PC building it's fun. It's fun. Just take your time. Read all the manuals. Take your time. Look at as many look at many YouTube videos as you need to look at, and give it a go. You know, you can get it wrong. I'm not saying you can't get it wrong. But if you're unsure, you know, build it with a friend. But just do a lot of research. It doesn't have to be as daunting as you think it is, building a PC. It's not difficult. It's all plug and play. There's no soldering. There's none of that. It's all plug it in and off you go. And it's a lot more satisfying, especially if you're quite hands-on like me. I've always been kind of pretty hands-on. And it is satisfying for me to actually build something and it work. Okay, that's a little bit of cable management there. We're not going to go nuts. Alright, that's okay. I haven't got a side panel on this anyway, so it's not like you're going to see any of this. Obviously, if you've got a clear panel with a window, you're going to want to make it as neat as possible, because you're possibly going to have LEDs on your motherboard or on your graphics card, or even like LED strips inside your machine, and you can actually see it all light up and it looks beautiful. Okay, so that's everything in. I have installed the CPU. The old one is still here, needs cleaning up properly. You can see that's my Ryzen 3 1200. This machine has now got a Ryzen 5 1600 in with the big cooler. What we're going to do now is put the cover on top, plug everything in the back, in here, in the I/O, and obviously the graphics card, and we're going to take it for a test drive, see what kind of results we get. There you go, blue light, blue light. Yes. Yes. Post. Fantastic. Okay. Okay. Right, so checking the BIOS. I don't know if you guys let me move my camera around a little bit. I'm sorry, this is really unprofessional. I am really pleased that actually goes into post. So checking the BIOS. We've got 16 megabytes of cache, dual channel DDR4, which is 2133. I'm going to clock that to 2666. Oh, the overclock still remains. That's very strange. Very, very strange. This is the overclock that I had on my Ryzen 3. So let's just go for now. I'm just going to go for auto. I'm going to leave it as it is. And the DDR3, we want to overclock it. The RAM we want to overclock to that, if we can. But I want the profile to be, I want the RAM to be 2666. We're going to leave everything as it is. But there you see it, the actual Ryzen 5 1600 6-core 12-thread processor shows up in a BIOS. So I'm quite pleased at that. So let's do save and exit. And we're going to reboot. And we're going to see what happens. So there you go, it's worked it all out now. Alright guys, so I have taken it through a few tests. I did load into a few programs, but the video is now nearly 23 minutes long. And I do appreciate for those that have stayed for the very end. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to do some benchmarks on the next video, guys. If you want ask any questions, please do. Any comments also, please put them below. And I'll see you again in the next one.